Hi everyone, I'm Katrina and today I'm going to be reviewing the musical Bear, a pop opera, which I saw last week. And this is my first play review, so please bear with me, no pun intended. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you because I was invited along to see the musical in exchange for a review. I was also lucky enough to see the show on the night where they also held a gay youth forum, which was a Q&A session after the musical finished. And the panelists on the forum included Olympic gold medalist Matthew Mitchum, as well as some of the cast members and a few other special guests. One of which was a trans woman and the other two were men who came out as gay after already having been married and having kids. So on the panel there was people from a vast array of backgrounds. They had a variety of different experiences with their sexual identity, with their coming out stories, and I'm so glad that I was able to see the forum as well. There were just some really great questions asked, some really great discussions. Now moving on to my thoughts on the musical Bear. So it follows a bunch of students at a Catholic boarding school, and the two main characters, Peter and Jason, are gay. They are in this kind of relationship, and most of the story follows them as they struggle with either trying to keep their relationship a secret or wanting to come out and tell everybody about it. But there's also a lot more to it as well. We've also followed some of their peers, and it deals a lot with obviously sexual identity, bullying, body image, stigmas, and interactions with fellow students and family. There is also some mature content in the show with sex, drug use, and coarse language. And one of the other interesting things is that within the play is a play. The students are rehearsing to perform Romeo and Juliet, and I think this was really interestingly done because there are definitely some parallels to draw between Bear and Romeo and Juliet. This musical is very much emotionally charged. We delve into a lot of the characters' experiences, and I think that in delving into so many of the characters' struggles, there's so much for the audience to kind of grab onto and relate to and empathize with as well. The cast did an absolutely incredible job and really pulled off the show. There was just so much talent in the acting, the dancing, and definitely the singing. I'm not going to comment on every cast member's performance, but I do want to highlight a few in particular that really stood out to me. Firstly, we have Aaron Roback, who performed as Peter. He was just such an emotive singer. From the very beginning of the show, I just felt so drawn in when he was singing. I kind of felt like I was prying and seeing something so private that I really shouldn't have, just because the singing and the emotions felt so raw. I was also really impressed by Annette Vitetta, who played as Sister Chantal. She had such a powerful voice and she just hit some really impressive and high notes. But I think the absolute standout for sure for me was Natalie Abbott, who performed as Nadia. I was so blown away by her singing. I just found it so incredibly beautiful and really versatile as well. She just has such an incredible voice, and particularly when she was singing A Quiet Night at Home, all of the emotions, I had goosebumps. It was incredible. At times, because this was performed in a smaller theatre, the volume of the speakers could be a little bit overwhelming, and this is just because there were so many incredibly powerful voices that really projected on their own. I really enjoyed the singing and I really loved the music. It was a lot of fun. I also found that in particular when the characters Peter, Jason, Ivy, and Nadia each performed their own solos, I cried every single time. Like I mentioned, this is a smaller theatre, and just with the size and setup of it, it felt so intimate. I could just see all of their emotions, not just hear it in the song and in the lyrics. I felt like I was there with them, feeling it all, and I was, because I was definitely crying. I think that one of the things I really enjoyed the most about the actual musical, not just the performance itself, was the depth of so many of the characters. And also the fact that you can't pinpoint a particular character as either being entirely good or entirely bad or antagonistic. There's a lot of grey area. There are definitely some pretty stereotypical characters in here, but I found that for the most part at least, particularly those that are more central to the story, they do become more fleshed out and nuanced as the story progresses. Particularly for these characters that do have their own solos, you just get a really good insight into their minds, but also into their hearts. So I found that in those cases in particular, they just felt so human. They just felt so real. They definitely made a lot of mistakes, and they had their own struggles, their own conflicts. I also found that in a lot of cases my first impressions of characters were kind of thrown out the window, and I also in some cases kind of bounced back and forth between really liking a character and really hating a character, and then liking them again, and then they just do something really stupid and I hate them again. So yeah, I just found that I had a very interesting reaction to a lot of the characters. My favorites were definitely Nadia and Sister Chantal. I think for the most part, because these are the two characters that provide the most comic relief. So Nadia, who is Jason's sister, is often bullied and has suffered from some emotional abuse from her mother based on her physique, her size. And because of this, she's created this really hard exterior to kind of combat the harsh things that are thrown her way. And instead, she comes back with really snarky comments of her own, which were quite hilarious. And then there's also Sister Chantal. So she was the one that was directing the Romeo and Juliet performance. In those rehearsals, she was very strict and stern with the students. Sometimes she was quite harsh, but in the context of the play, it did come off in a more humorous way. One thing I do want to point out though was that the character of Sister Chantal came across to me as being an African-American woman, though she wasn't played by an African-American actress. This definitely came through in the way that the character kind of spoke and the way she sung, but more so she also led a song that was sung in a black gospel style. So I got the impression that she was a black woman. And then looking at other productions as well, it does seem to be that she's, at least for the most part, played by an African-American woman as well. But I'm not going to comment further because I'm not sure what the audition process or casting decisions are like. But in saying that, at times it felt like her sass was kind of verging on being a bit of a stereotype for a black female character. But nevertheless, I still really enjoyed her character, also because of the kind of role she played for Peter in his decision about whether to come out or not. She really shows a deep understanding and love for Peter. The words of advice that she gives are ones that I think a lot of people could really benefit from if they are struggling as well, particularly if religion is also a significant factor. So overall, I really enjoyed the performance of Bear that I went and saw. I lost count of how many times I cried. I think they did such a great job with it. Such a talented cast. And also in the staging as well, they really managed to utilize the space really effectively. And I also thought it was really wonderful having that forum after the show so people could ask cast members about their experiences and have discussions about sexuality and identity. I'm really glad that I went and saw it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And if any of you do live in the Sydney area and are interested in seeing the performance, they are still running until the 17th of December. They are performing the show at the Depot Theatre in Marrickville. So if any of you guys are interested, I will leave some links down below to some more information if you're wanting to check it out at all. If any of you guys have also seen any production of the show, I'd absolutely love to know your thoughts if you guys saw it as well, if you enjoyed it like I did. And I would also like to ask you guys as well if you have any recommendations of particular musicals, because I really enjoy seeing musicals, but I just don't go that often. So if there are any that you guys recommend, I might keep an eye out to see if there's going to be any productions in my local area of it at any point in the future. That is all that I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll hopefully see you very soon. Bye!